first word is ever written down or read or listened to, there is a longing to connect. My name is Charlie Mehrhoff, your host here at Before the Page, a podcast featuring poetry, parable, fiction, and non-words to echo our longing. This, our first episode of Before the Page, features words dancing about the theme of nonviolence. It's fitting that we open with a poem composed in Vietnam, the year 1964, by Master of Compassion Thich Nhat Hanh. It's entitled Peace. They woke me this morning to tell me my brother had been killed in battle. Yet in the garden a new rose with moist petals uncurling blooms on the bush, and I am alive, still breathing the fragrance of roses and dung, eating, praying, and sleeping. When can I break my long silence? When can I speak the unuttered words that are choking me? This is from the Tao Te Ching, chapter 31, Stephen Mitchell, translator. Weapons are tools of violence. All decent men detest them. Weapons are tools of fear. A decent man will avoid them except in the direst necessity, and if compelled will use them only with the utmost restraint. Peace is his highest value. If the peace has been shattered, how can he be content? His enemies are not demons, but human beings like himself. He does not wish them personal harm. How could he rejoice in victory and delight in the slaughter of men? He enters a battle gravely, with sorrow and with great compassion, as if he were attending a funeral. These words are from the speaker, a man who wanted no followers, Jiddu Krishamurti, regarding war. War is the spectacular and bloody projection of our everyday life. It is an outward expression of our inward state and enlargement of our daily action. Just after World War II, Krishamurti was asked, what should be done with those who have perpetuated the horrors of the concentration camps? Should they not be punished? This is the answer he gave. Who is to punish them? Is not the judge often as guilty as the accused? Each one of us has built up this civilization. Each one of us has contributed towards its misery. Each one of us is responsible for its actions. The power to oppress is evil, and every power that is large and well organized becomes a potential source of evil. By shouting loudly the cruelties of another country, you think you can overlook those of your own? It is not only the vanquished, but every country that is responsible for the horrors of war. War is of the greatest catastrophes. The greatest evil is to kill another. Once you admit such an evil into your heart, then you let loose countless minor disasters. These following words are composed by the reader. It was before the war. It is always before the war somewhere. War, torrent of anguish that too often defines our species. It was before the war, that beloved time, sitting upon the edge of the old railroad bridge, sunlight splashing across my face, legs dangling over the abyss. The following comes from the late Miss Hannah Hurnard, servant of humanity, a woman who truly walked with the beloved, from her book, Walking Among the Unseen. Jesus, that's right, Jesus never attacked, denounced, or spoke against the Roman authorities, never stirred up anyone to protest or resist the ruling invaders of his country. Rather, wherever he went, he taught God's way of reacting to and dealing with the cruel and unjust. Everywhere he went, he gave the same challenge, as the authorities very well knew. Love your enemies, end your conquerors, bear and forgive whatever they do to you. Turn them into friends by doing good to them unceasingly until they just can't resist it and begin doing good to you too. If your enemy hungers, give him food. If he thirsts, give him drink. Show kindness whenever you receive unkindness and malice. And this is also from Hannah Hurnard, from her book Winged Life, regarding birds in flight. They can see much more and much farther than can other creatures walking on the earth. Theirs is a sphere of lovely vision in far distances. The higher they go, the further they can see. And how true is it that they who love most see most. Love opens the eyes of our understanding and enables us to see more of the truth than can those who are blinded by self-love. Now to share some words of St. Thomas Aquinas, Daniel Ladinsky translation. How is it they live for eons in such harmony, the billions of stars, when most men can barely go a minute without declaring war in their mind against someone they know? There are wars where no one marches with a flag, though that does not keep casualties from mounting. Our hearts irrigate this earth. We are fields before each other. How can we live in harmony? First, we need to know we are all madly in love with the same God. The words of this next poem were composed in 13th century Persia by Sufi master Saadi. They now find themselves woven in gold upon a stunning carpet mounted at the gate to the United Nations, a gift from the Islamic Republic of Iran. All human beings are members of one frame, since all at first from the same essence came. When time afflicts a limb with pain, the other limbs cannot at rest remain. If thou feel not for others' misery, a human being is no name for thee. Please pay deepest attention to these words composed by Mahatma Great Soul Gandhi. He was writing about Satyagraha, soul force. The fact that there are so many men still alive in the world shows that it is based not on the force of arms, but on the force of truth or love. Therefore, the greatest and most unimpeachable evidence of the success of this force is to be found in the fact that, in spite of the wars of the world, it still lives on. Thousands, indeed tens of thousands, depend for their existence on a very active working of this force. Little quarrels of millions of families in their daily lives disappear before the exercise of this force. There is no reason to believe that there is one law for families and another for nations. History, then, is a record of an interruption of the course of nature. Soul force, being natural, is not noted in history. This piece was composed in the 10th month of 5785. It is dedicated to Mikhail Melchior. It's entitled Beyond All Myth. It begins with two quotes. The first from Jiddu Krishamurti. To have peace, one must employ peaceful means. If the means are violent, how can the end be peaceful? This next quote is from the Book of Chronicles. David looked up and saw the angel of the Lord standing between heaven and earth with a drawn sword in his hand extended over Jerusalem. Then David and the elders, clothed in sackcloth, fell face down. There is an enduring legend of a sword driven deep into dense stone by a most potent magic. Only one with the purest blood of royals could ever lift the sword from the stone. Only this one would prove capable of uniting the warring factions. Only he would be able to bring an end to the chaos and become High King of Britain. Many fit and noble men, each wanting to be king, made their way to the spellbound weapon. Each, in turn, pulled with all the strength he possessed. Not one was able to budge the buried blade. Finally, a youth named Arthur, whose only desire was to serve, came upon the sword. Taking hold, he instantly unsheathed it from the monolithic vise. As king, Arthur was renowned for his faith in people. Believing in the innate human desire for harmony, Arthur toiled alongside steadfast souls who shared his belief. Peace ascended throughout the land. However, whether or not Arthur truly walked this earth remains a topic of debate. Did such a great soul ever take human form? Questions of origin abound. Was Arthur a Celt? Was he from Wales? Was his kingdom a remnant of the Roman Empire? Perhaps Arthur hailed from the Scythians, those nomadic steppe warriors with roots in primeval Persia. History and archaeology provide no clear answers. Furthermore, could there have been a sword that was magically embedded within stone? And if it did or does exist, was it pulled free? What if it remains plunged within a formidable outcropping somewhere, awaiting a pair of hands worthy enough to extract it? Supernal elements have long flourished beyond the expanse of Albion. Perhaps the legend was sparked by distant phenomena. Beyond all myth, both the sword and the stone truly exist, and brazenly out in the open for all to see. Yet, we fail to realize what we are actually looking at. This is because of a continually renewing spell, one so charged it mocks our vision. Due to the effects of the spell, a fog of delusion surrounds the sword and stone. The fog enchants, it beckons, it arouses inexplicable passions. There are those who believe it their sacred calling to protect the stone. Seeking to keep it safe, they wage war to take possession of the stone, possession at any cost. Others desire the stone for a prize, a worldly symbol of prowess. Violence is the sword, violence in thought, word, and deed. Jerusalem is the stone, and she aches to be devoid of the intrusive weapon. Jerusalem suffers our violence, every hate-filled and aggressive stroke of it. The violence over Jerusalem intoxicates the surrounding region. It afflicts the entire planet. Indeed, it has been spilling out upon the tribes of this earth for generations. The constant incitement, the propaganda, the divisive doctrines, the weaponry, the terror, all serve to prove that the spell continues to weave its enslaving magic. Even non-believers look upon Jerusalem, pointing to the conflict as evidence that faith frequently fuels destruction. Being noble creatures, every true human being is born with the ability to overcome the spell. The lives of those who, in the past, made peace without shedding blood stand as inspiration that a realm of nonviolence can be established here on earth. When we who make war over Jerusalem cease, the tribes of this earth will follow. Look to the east, the sun is setting. Come, let us wage peace alongside the light. Again, the piece you've just heard, Beyond All Myth, is dedicated to Rabbi Michael Melchior. He's a human's human who has turned his life into a prayer for the peace of Jerusalem. I'm now going to close this first podcast with a promise from the prophet Ezekiel. Then those who live in the towns of Israel will go out and use the weapons for fuel and burn them up. The small and the large shields, the bows and arrows, the war clubs and spears. For 7 years they will use them for fuel. They will not need to gather wood from the fields or cut it from the forests, because they will use the weapons for fuel. If you want to reach out to Before the Page, we would love to hear from you. That would be at beforethepage@gmail.com. beforethepage@gmail.com. Thank you so much for listening. Until the next.